Okay.
1, 2.
We're ready.
All right.
I feel like we trust somebody.
Welcome back to the L3 Perspective, where we have conversations around topics that impact life, love, and leadership. So there's 2 words that I want to encourage you to write down: real estate and mindset. Now, when we think about real estate, I think that over the last couple of years, there has been a lot of, hey, you shouldn't buy now, or you have folks who are wanting to buy land or buy real estate and dive into that. But real estate is not just about property. It's about people. And so today's special guest, John Ojo, is a man that I value, that I've had the opportunity to connect with a couple months ago, realtor in the Sacramento area, but values people on a whole nother level. And the mindset is there. And so with that all being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the L3 Perspective, John Ojo. Welcome to the podcast,
Hey,
man.
I appreciate you. First off, man, I just want to say both thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
I love what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I love the fact that you're giving people a platform and you're doing it in a positive light, man. That's huge.
Absolutely.
This is your
No,
first
that's huge.
podcast?
Yeah. I mean,
I got to get that board, man. So I tell people I got to get this board, like, I call it the Pop the Cherry board. Because like everyone who comes, most people who come here are like, this is my first time being on like a legitimate, like in the studio, cameras, all that. You know, they're like, oh, I did Zoom before. And I'm like, that don't count.
Right.
yeah.
This is an experience.
No, hands down. It's real.
Yeah, so
You
a
know?
little background. I think I may have shared this with you a couple months ago. So one of our mutual friends connected John and I, and before we actually met, she was just like, "Hey, this guy, like, I feel like you guys will hit it off because of, your values, and I think just the things that you guys are into." And we were probably not even 5 minutes into the conversation, and I remember looking over to Kim and be like, "Yo, I can see why you wanted us to meet." Right. And it was a lot of just, we talked mainly about mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like, just like inadvertently. And, I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while because of the value that you add to not only just your community, but like just the space that you're in and the space that we're in. And so just happy to have you on here, man.
Indeed.
Yeah. So, go ahead.
No.
Yeah. So if you could just kind of tell our listeners a little bit about who John Ojo is.
Yeah, so John Ojo is a lover of life. I'm a Bay Area native. I'm in the Sacramento area, and I do go from Sacramento to the Bay Area in real estate, like because I got a lot of people still out there.
Yeah.
So I'm back and forth, up and down, put a lot of miles on the vehicle. Foodie, father, Christian, but more so, man, I'm a challenger, the man in the mirror. And one thing that I'm looking at is like, how can I be my best self? Just the conversation we're just having before is about intentionality, discipline, consistency. Like what does that really look like? And what I love you said is there's no such thing as excuses. Yeah. Excuses are just reasons that we give ourselves to not do whatever it is that we don't want to do. For sure. Let's go make it happen.
It's the trickery that your mind pulls on you.
Yeah.
But the thing with real estate, what I find is that people have a lot of limiting beliefs and they have a lot of things that are in their way, which may make them feel like, no, I can't do that because my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, they never did that. Yeah. But the truth is there's barriers that we can knock down because you can. And there's opportunities and ways in any market where you can succeed. Yeah. It's just you got to be connected with the right people.
No, I absolutely agree. I was kind of looking at some things the other day, and that's where I came up with the, real estate is not just about property, it's about people, right? And it's like, when you think about the foundation of a home, oftentimes we talk about other things, but like, when I think about it, I think about, there's a lot of love that's developed. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of peace, joy that's created, right? And it's like, when your kids when your kids leave that, like, that's the foundation that they take with them, right? And so it made me think about it on a more beyond the surface level on real estate and how it ties into people, right? Like how the home is not just walls and it's not just a roof, but it's more about that foundation of what you're building, which are the characteristics. And so when you talk about the man in the mirror, right? Like what drove you to to be able to get to a point in life where you are able to look yourself in the mirror and push yourself every single day?
That's a deep question, but
That's what we do here.
yeah.
Welcome to the interview.
But no, but like just to think about it, like the first thing that popped in my head when you said that was diving into real estate. Like I called myself a dream builder, right? And a dream builder, not like a dream chaser, not a dream seller, but a builder, because it's like that's really what it is. It's like you are constructing. Because a lot in people's lives, they typically have a home in the vision, but there's so much other things than that, right? It's about a legacy. But for me, to answer your question about what caused me to really look in the mirror was I played basketball, right? And I thought that I was doing well. I got a scholarship. My brother played in the NFL, and I remember his coach asked him, like, excuse me, not his coach, his agent asked me, "Hey man, do you wanna go try out for the Spurs?"
What?
And here, this makes 0 cents, right? 0 cents. And then he was like, my response was, "Man, no, I'm good, bro. I got this overseas things lined up. Like I'm about to take off." That makes no sense. I didn't even know about the limiting belief that I had that stopped an opportunity from happening, right? And then I was overseas and I was enjoying it, but then I thought about it, like, I just missed out a whole opportunity. Like, why did I say that? Why did that come out so naturally? Because it was fear,
Right.
you know? And looking in the mirror and seeing fear is like, hey, bro, like that's, like, we can't do that, you know? And so the question that I heard one day that made me really think about is like, who would we be if we weren't afraid? If we did not let fear stand in our way, like what would life look like? Who would be? Because like there's so many opportunities that are right in front of us.
Right.
But if we don't take that action, and if we're not consistent, hey, it's good as losing it.
Yeah.
You know?
When did you sit with that thought?
Honestly, that thought has,
Like the Spurs thing. Like when did you get to a point where you were just sitting there and you were like, "Holy crap! Like what did I do?"
So honestly, it came to me a while back, but I was just in San Antonio.
Okay.
And when I was in San Antonio for the first time, and I was in San Antonio looking at the town.
It's a good town.
It's a good town.
It's a great town.
And they're moving the stadium. And I was just looking at the investment opportunity. Houses there for like $200,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Like they got this place called the Pearl District. I was like, man, this is awesome. They got great restaurants.
Yeah.
I was like, I can totally come back here. Right. And then, and I was thinking about it, like, wait a minute.
I could have been here.
I could have been here. And it just, that was a gut punch. But I had thought about that before because, and this guy, he was Ryan Leak is his name. He's
Yes.
actually a pastor, you know.
Yes, yes.
And he had the documentary about failing forward,
Right.
right. But I thought what was huge was I had that same thought process, right. Like you got to try and you got to go, and if you fail, who cares?
Right.
The key thing is you got to put your best foot forward, you know. So I was thinking about law school, you know, and I could have crushed it in law school. I honestly feel like I can do anything. You know, like, and that, not to sound cocky, not even a little bit, but I
Be
feel
cocky, bro.
but you know how that comes
Yeah,
off
right, for
sometimes,
sure.
right? But it's like, I'm this and pounding your chest. It's not about that. It's just about, hey, like, no, it's in us,
Right.
Yeah.
you know. And if we want to do something, there's nothing that can stop us if we're focused and we're gonna do the work.
Yeah.
Right.
Then it's right here,
For sure.
you know.
Yeah. No, so Ryan Leak is, remember one of the last podcasts, I couldn't think of the name in the book that I was trying to refer to. Ryan Leak is the author. And so he's someone that I recently, over probably the last 4 months, I started consistently following.
What was the book that you were referencing?
How to work with how to work with complicated people.
Yeah, and he's got a few books out, but the dude, he's powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, but he's spot on. You
Yeah.
know, like I'm actually gonna reach out to him. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Do it.
yeah, do
You
it.
can use the studio.
So just yeah, but just to give just some background, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like this guy, one thing that he did was he had overheard a girl that he was dating say she would love to get proposed to and married on the same day. And then so what he did was he went and started doing all the background work and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then got the family together and went to propose to her. And she was like, oh my God. And then the screen pulled back and it was like, today. And so he had the wedding dress there, makeup artist, hairstylist, everything. And then and it blew up. But he had he filmed it, right? Smart.
Yeah.
It went viral on YouTube. And then Queen Latifah brought him onto the show.
Oh.
And then when she brought him onto the show, she was like, your wife got a surprise for you. Then Kobe came on, let you know how long ago it was. And he was like, hey, man, I want to offer you some tickets to the game. But when he went to the game, like Kobe asked, man, what's one thing that you would really want to do? And he was like, I want to play in the NBA. And that's what Kobe hit him with. Just do it. And he was like, man, the Kobe just hit me with the Nike slogan.
Yeah.
But he started writing letters, man. And the first he wrote to the Chicago Bulls, they denied him. Then he kept writing in the Phoenix Sun. Was like, I love the idea. Come out Monday, you know. But it didn't make it, right? But the opportunity was there, and then now he's speaking to teams and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's just, you never know, man.
Yeah.
Just stepping out. I feel like if we may not be Michael Jordan, but we got talent, you know.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah.
So it's about
definitely
finding
in
it.
you.
Yeah.
There's a lot. Have you heard of the book Scaling? Scaling.com. Have you heard of that?
Is that that sounds like an Alex Ramosi?
It's no. So it's somewhat in that same realm, right?
Uh-huh.
I forgot his name's, but if you go to scaling.com/audiobook, you can actually download it for free.
Okay.
And he's a psychologist, and he like studied, businesses, and he ended up like coaching a whole bunch of Fortune 5, like all that, right? And one of the things he teaches is that you have to take a seemingly impossible idea and give yourself a seemingly impossible limited amount of time, and that will unlock what you can do. And you read it fundamentally, and you're like, okay, cool. Well, this morning while I was on the call, I'm a part of a community, and I watched it in action because he asked somebody. He said, hey. He actually talked to her yesterday, and she's like, I came back with a plan. And he's like, okay, what's your plan now? And she's like, oh, I'm going to do this. And he's like, cool. If I needed you to sell, what did he say? Like, I think he said, if I needed you to sell 10 T-shirts within the next 24 hours, what would you do? She said, oh, I would text my friends. And he's like, okay. He said, if I told you had to sell 300 T-shirts in the next 7 days or a month, what would that look like? She's like, oh, well, I would text my friends and I would do this. Because what she was trying to say was like, oh, I don't know how to use ChatGPT to help me come up with this plan. So he was like taking her down the steps. And then he said, well, what if I told you that you had to sell 300 T-shirts in the next 3 days? What would you do? And she was like, oh, I would call my friends. I would go on Facebook, send notes. I would go on my LinkedIn, do this. I'd go to my email list. I'd go try and find a vendor at a thing to sell it to. And he was like, you didn't need ChatGPT for any of that. You just had to think and put yourself in a stressful situation that forces you to think outside the box. That makes you uncomfortable.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's
a lot
growth.
of times people aren't willing to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of times how I gauge who we work with, right? How uncomfortable can I make you with the ideas that we have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if I make you uncomfortable, but that stops you, then you don't work with us.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
So I have a question kind of tying into that. When you guys were just kind of sharing some things. So earlier we were talking about, I was saying something I wrote on the whiteboard today with my kids, with three words, and it was dedication, consistency, and commitment, right? And so, when you hear those three words, right? 'Cause for example, like these are words that can be simple, but most people don't execute on it, right? And so, what comes to mind when you see those three words, and or how do you tie that into your daily life?
So dedication, consistency, and commitment, right? So I feel like what's easy is you have to like know who you are, and more importantly, know what you want and where you want to go, right? Because if you have a clear picture, a clear vision, and you want to step forward and do that, then you have your path set. That basically tells you what you're not going to do and what you are going to do.
Yeah.
For me purposely, me personally, like I want to do that, but do it with love, right? Like, and what I mean by that is not some soft teddy bear, but but like what I mean is like I wanna lift people up and not like tear people down.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like there's so many situations in life that can like crush people, right? People are wounded walking around here daily. You just can't see it from the outside because it's internal, right? But if you can let people, hey man, like that's okay, right? It's called grace, right? I wanna don't even worry about that. You know, if somebody does wrong and they're willing to make it right, then we're good.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've made mistakes in my life, right? I'm far from perfect, but that's kind of what that means for me. But doing it on a daily basis and holding myself accountable, you know, and the more I do that, like on creating one day a week to like lay out a clear vision of what I want to do, and even like for just specifically like July, like okay, boom, okay, where I'm at from January, and this is what I want to do. Okay, what do I have to do to knock all this stuff out, right? And just really mapping that out, and it simplifies, but it's also invigorating, you know, because discipline, it can sound restrictive, but it's really freeing, you know.
Yeah, gotcha. Appreciate that, man. There's you know, I think one of the things you had mentioned about grace, and this is something that more recently I am consistent with it. Like I've always kind of led, and I've always given folks grace, but I think it has a deeper meaning for me now. And I realize when situations happen, I don't hold on to specific situations where grace can be granted. Like I give that grace and move forward because I realize someone like me who's I'm very I think very deeply and can hold on to things, and I realize that I sleep better at night, right? Like I look myself in the mirror and I am okay with moving forward while giving folks that grace, right? Because of like what it can do to you mentally and how mentally draining it can be. And so I think that's important for folks to instill in their leadership abilities or their day to day, as far as am I giving folks grace? Just asking themselves that question.
Yeah.
So you said discipline, consistency, and then what was the third one?
Commitment. That's what his son had wrote. Oh, he wrote on the mirror for his son.
Okay.
Yeah, so oftentimes I try to, generally I'm more consistent with it in the summer times when my oldest son is from back home from college. By the way, you guys went, he goes to Dominican. And he graduated from Dominican. But, you know, on his off season for basketball, I'll generally put something on the mirror for mindset wise. And by default, my two younger boys, my 12 and 8-year-old, you know, they read the mirror as well. So,
So I was going to ask, you know, we're sitting here talking about like execution, you know, like making things happen. What would you say was one of the times that you're not being disciplined or not being consistent or not being committed affected your life? You can't use the Spurs example either.
So there was a time where I had a pretty big opportunity to do something in basketball. It wasn't with the Spurs, but it was something else. I was being flown out to a location, and this is just the first thing that popped in my head because I can probably give several.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
But like a lot of friends, and I say I'm a lover of life, so a lot of friends wanted to come out, and so I had them at the house, and we were partying the whole weekend, and that Monday morning when I had to fly out, I was not in the best shape, you know, and it's like, kudos to you. I know you said you're no longer drinking. I had been drinking the entire weekend, and so something as far as running and basketball, you can kind of get it out of your system quickly, but not when you're playing against some great competition. You know what I'm saying? It's good to show up, right? Hey, you're just a little bit slower, you know? And that was just something that, like, I felt was going to just be, it was already in the bag, you know? But I fumbled that opportunity, you know? But situations like that are very humbling.
Very.
You know? And just to be straight up, like, I didn't even start playing basketball. So, like, damn near a senior in high school.
Oh,
you know?
wow.
Yeah, my dad, like, he was in medicine. He didn't want me to, like he wanted everybody to be doctors, you know, like my brothers is doctors, lawyers, you know, and so for me, it's like, I didn't want to do that, you know, but I just wanted the opportunity to play really football, but basketball is what I was able to do.
Yeah.
So, but it's crazy because like sometimes like Eminem, says, right? Like you got that shot.
Yeah.
You can't waste it.
Can't waste it.
When opportunity meets preparation,
Yeah.
you can blast off. But if you're not prepared and the opportunity arises, then that's on you.
Yeah.
You know?
So speaking of basketball, I'm not a big sports person.
Okay.
So like I know enough to get me around. But anyways, I was listening to the book this morning, and he talked about Zion and how like when Zion, you know, got drafted and all that, like he was supposed to be like the next big thing, you know. And
It happens.
even to the point where like in his in his contract, it was like you can't go over a certain weight, like all types of stuff. And so, but another part of his contract was that if he missed more than 40 games, that he would forfeit a lot of his annual wage. And that's happened. He consistently keeps getting injured because he comes back from the off season almost 50 pounds heavier consistently. And so like, once again, it talked about like, how serious are you taking that opportunity when no one's watching?
And that's like when no one's watching is the biggest.
Yeah.
I think like that. I think what's celebrated in public is really like really done in the dark.
Right.
You
For
know,
sure.
like I think that like that's really what time it is. Like and it's unfortunate I don't know that gentleman, but I can just imagine just what's around him. And,
For sure.
and I think it's easy to possibly look at one side of it and look like, man, you got this opportunity.
Right.
But like, I mean, I don't know how old he is right now, but he got that much.
Well, it's
millions.
a circle too.
Yeah,
It's like, what are you going back to?
That's exactly what I was going to tell you.
And are your friends like, hey, bro, let's just go eat out? And party and do all this?
100%.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to say no.
Yeah.
When it's right in front of you.
I
You know,
agree.
like I get it, right?
Social pressure is a thing.
But the truth is, though, it's like what's more important,
Yeah.
and that's when you got to kind of like shift gears and be like, listen, like right now is not time for that, you know. So like, yeah.
So speaking of shifting gears, like, so you have a PR background as well, right? So public relations and but obviously heavily in real estate. And so what was the shift for you, right, from going the PR direction to switching over to real estate?
So for me, it's and I appreciate you phrasing it that way. Yeah. But the whole thought process like is, I felt like I'm working really for somebody else, and I think that there was so much opportunity that can happen there, right? And I saw sky's the limit. However, there's so much red tape that was in the way of like really creating like massive progress.
Yeah.
That I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Got to go through this person and that person.
Yeah.
And like, did I use the right, words?
And that shifts with one change of a title.
Yeah.
You know, somebody could be, they retire and then, oh, that's over. You know, but I saw somebody who's a well-known movie producer. He cut through the red tape like a knife with hot butter. And this dude was super down to earth. And I was like, wait. It doesn't necessarily matter. It's like the Machiavellian, you come from the outside or you go inside. But I mean, I don't want to get into that. That's a whole different thing. But the thought process is he came from he was so strong from the outside that he was able to come in and create his way.
Right.
You know, and I saw that like there's a lot of different ways you can create change, you know? And so for me, I need to first build myself and build a business and build opportunity that can create change. And since then I've started to do that. I haven't gotten back to my root cause of what I want to do, like, but it's on its way. I haven't forgotten.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, what's the root cause?
Helping kids, man. Like I think that like in Solano County, for example, like there's a lot of kids that are needing help, you know, and when I see that, it's like I get it, man. Like what's there for a kid to do right now?
Right.
You know, and we wonder why teen pregnancy or drug usage or anything like that is high. Like if we're not helping, if we're not stepping up to do anything, then you know, you're almost leaving them to out of mind.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that it's interesting. I feel like the folks that have been in this particular season of my life of being attracted to, some way, shape, or form, their passion is tied to the youth, right? And so what I like about this, and my plan is to take advantage in a good way as far as, again, creating those spaces and platforms, right, for folks to come together. Like I have folks who recently have shared that have a real estate background, a financial literacy background, just a wide range of backgrounds to be able to come into a space to create opportunities where youth can come in, right? And so I don't know what that looks like right now, but I'm very intentional with observing, you know, what's happening in this season of my life, and so we may be talking about some ideas.
So when we're talking about like the youth in real estate, right? Like something that we have seen from my purview, and you can obviously educate me, is that we've seen this shift from like first time home buyer to like buying a home that can support a multi-generational family, especially here in California, right? Because it's so expensive. So instead of like the kids are buying a house just for them and the grandkid, it's like the kids are buying a house for them, the grandkid, and then their parents.
Yeah.
So they can all live under one roof, you know, like talk about that dynamic as far as like the messaging and how it changes, or does it not change? And it's like, you know, because based off my research, it said that like 17% of the housing market is now kind of like multi-generational, which is up from the last decade.
Yeah. So
like,
that's a great question, but like, so it's a couple different things, right? One, you have the baby boomers that are aging. Right.
That too, yeah.
So when you have baby boomers that are aging, and it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever been to a senior care facility.
Yeah.
No knock on any of them, but I'm not going to touch on care. I'm just going to say cost, right?
Gotcha.
It's
They're very expensive.
100%, right? So in looking at that, that's why you see like a lot of next gen homes that'll have that add on for the parents to stay there, like an apartment. But they're close, but you're not that close. There's a wall. There's some separation, you know. But like the real is, I think the biggest is the FHA changed the criteria that allows you to buy like a fourplex, right? Something like that is huge. So it has to fit for the right person. Like if you've got a full family, you may not want to squeeze into one unit, but you can occupy one unit and use those other 3 units as income to qualify for it, which is huge.
That's next on my list.
Yeah, but it's real though. Like I mean, that's an easy way to turn yourself into a millionaire. For sure. You know, especially here in California. Yeah. You know, because rents are so high, and the thing is, with interest rates being so high, like a lot of people, like the market right now has shifted from a seller's market to a definite buyer's market. 100%. You know, like I just did something last week that would be unheard of. Like we're lower the price, give you some credit, and you play all the closing costs, right?
I have seen that. That's like
it's crazy.
70% of homes right now are going under whatever asking was.
Yeah. You know, but I think that it all depends on strategy. Correct. Right? So
and the right agent.
Yeah. No, 100%. Hey, plug, right? Hey, I don't know if you caught that, but you need to pick that up. All right, you dropped something. But like the funny thing is, like I've been able to do that in this market. Still, like 5 days, boom, sell a house. Now, a gentleman that just called me, I'm not going to say his name, but we did that, right? Put the house on the market for the weekend. Boom, we had 3 offers. Boom. Then he got greedy. And I was like, hey, okay, this right here, we call this a choice, right? Yeah. You know, you got what you asking for and some. Right. You know, let's see if we get some more. I was like, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. And then so he wanted to keep it on longer, and I was like, okay, man. But just remember, these were here. I advised against it. Yeah. So the offers came in, but it's still gonna sell. It's a nice house, but like we had a good opportunity. But other people have gotten still over asking, but it has to be clean. So if you think about it, buyers today, with interest rates being what they are, they don't have the funds to go ahead.
Yeah, it's got to be ready.
It's got to be
turnkey.
100%. Yeah. And so that's what I do. I've got contractors and everything that I'm going to go and make it easy, so people don't even have to come out of pocket. Right. Yeah. You know, but just make it super simple. And that way you can still get top dollar.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, like I had a meeting, Tegan and I had a meeting with him a month or so, maybe 2 months ago, you know, just based off of like what we had heard about his, the values that ties into the services that he offered. Yeah. Right. Right. Because we're in a season where, you know, we moved my mom out from Philly, right? So she lives with us. The space is not, the space is tighter, especially we realized that with my oldest son being home for the summer. And, you know, one of the things that we were talking about was, do we buy or do we, you know, build an ADU on the property that we have now? And one of the future ideas is like to invest in land, right? Do we speed up that process now? And so I appreciate the insight that you offer to someone who, like I said, I believe whatever reason we were introduced to each other for, like I seen some of the qualities as a man, the great qualities as a man in that conversation. And so, so speaking of characteristics as a man, you seem to be this stand-up gentleman. Was there a individual in your life that instilled certain values into you to be the man that you are today, or was that something that you observed and you're like, that's not who I want to be, this is who I will become?
That's a good question. I would say it's a combination. One, my dad, right? My dad, he was from Nigeria, and just in seeing how, and it's funny because in looking at life, like he would tell me certain things. As a young man, I thought, man, you don't know what you're talking about, right? Yeah, it's like, come on, like, and I'm looking at people outside that were into negativity. Yeah. Like these guys obviously know what it is. They got the cars, they got the girls, they got the jewelry. They're doing what's right. And he would always say, just hey. He didn't say it's not a race, it's a marathon. He's like, just give it some time. Just give it some time, and then people start disappearing, for a lot of different reasons, and looking at it from that angle, it's like, man, maybe you are onto something. But early on, though, I felt like just the morals and stuff that he had kind of passed on, but brothers, and yeah, that's where it kind of came from.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Appreciate you sharing. I ask those type of questions because, as raising 3 young men and a baby girl who look at her brother, who either now look at her brother as examples or will, right? Look, and myself included, as I'm constantly receiving information so that I can instill specific values into the home because, and Cam and I often talk about this, like, we both grew up in, a single mom household, right? And so not having the day-to-day example, right? Like I admire other sharp individuals, and I'm always curious on like where they grew in that area of their life to be who they are. So,
but to give you guys both credit, like, and as I just thought a little bit deeper, it wasn't just my dad, like, because there's a lot of different influential people that came across my life, like coaches and teachers, like just powerful people that had just like the one teacher, my 5th grade, Mr. Mass, right? Master Mazeroff. This dude was awesome, man. Like he was. It's a trip, but
I don't remember not one of my teachers
because he was impactful. I mean, it was crazy. Like I remember my teachers from like, I don't know why, right? I mean, elementary school is pretty easy. You only got one, but like, but this dude, he was different, and I just remember just like he left the school and then he came back, like, because I was like, man, I shot him a note one day. I was, man, I just really appreciated you. And the next year he came back to the class. Everybody went bananas, but he was like a different teacher, man, and he was building with love. Yeah. So, gotcha. But I think like just people around us, man, we have impacts on, and we don't necessarily know like what you're doing right now and what you guys are starting right now. It's like you're throwing a rock in a pond. Yeah. And the rock hits it in that ripple, right? Yeah. Like you're gonna be hitting families and people and generations that I mean, just this conversation, it could change somebody's life if they take action. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is one of the main reasons why Cam and I decided to execute the podcast, right? Like creating that space, because there could be a sentence, a paragraph, 100%. The whole episode that could potentially shift the course of somebody's life. And I think as a leader, for me, that has always been extremely important. Understanding the value of your words and how it can impact, or the value of someone's words, right? And so we're able to create those spaces where folks can have that level of conversations to bring that value. That's the true win.
So speaking of education, you seem, based off our research, you seem to be very big on making sure you are educating your clients and like the masses, right? So you have a book called Tips for Buyers, a little ebook.
So that was something that one of my assistants created. But go ahead.
Okay, so I mean, like, what are some of the things that like people should be aware of nowadays when it comes to real estate, right? Like what is going to arm them with the effective tools? Obviously not to do it themselves, because they should have a qualified agent, plug. Yeah. But like, what are the things that you feel like the top 3 things that you hear or you've heard where you're like, and people believe it, or like people like are spreading that, and you're like, that's not even legit.
Yeah. So a lot of people saying like, I'm going to wait for the market to crash. Right.
Yeah, that seems to be the big one.
I hear that. I hear that a lot, and it's like
interest rates are coming down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if that may happen,
they might come a little bit, but
who
I think
knows?
people waiting on 2% again.
Like, so look, I'm going to just share an example. So right now, interest rates are high, right? So what I was able to do for this gentleman, right, is I think the rates right now are like around 7%. Right, which like if you think about it, man, that's real, right?
That is real.
He's a first-time home buyer.
Yeah.
So in looking at a home and purchasing, you got to look at leverage.
Yeah.
You've got to look at the condition of the home, the location, right?
Yep.
And for anybody that's ever invested, you want to look at the ARV, right? If it needs some love, okay, what is it going to be worth after that? You don't want to outprice the neighborhood. But the biggest thing is the monthly payment for a lot of people. Like, how much is it going to cost?
Yeah.
So in looking at for that, I gave this example earlier. I was able to negotiate a credit for him, right, which buys down his rate to 3.5%, right?
For like a year or two?
So it's a year, then it goes to 4.5, then but it stops at 5.5.
Yeah.
Right. But that in a 3-year span,
It's a lot of money.
it's a lot of, but it's not going above that. Right.
Yeah.
Which with the current rates being at 7%, and then on top of that, he doesn't have to pay any closing costs, and I lowered the price of the home. Right. So his monthly payment is like, he put some money down because he's been diligent.
Yeah.
But his monthly payment is like less than $1,500. And but the crazy thing is though, it's like, that's doable, and some people may not have money to put down.
Right.
Yeah.
There's other things for that. They got like down payment assistance programs and other things that can really help somebody get into a home.
Yeah.
So it's just like I'm gonna wait, or I'm gonna, because there's never a good time. The best time to buy a house was yesterday. You know, and then the next best time is right now. Warren Buffett said like the top 3 investments he had was his first wife, because it's proximity, like the people that you're surrounded with. Then his second wife. I don't know what happened to the first wife. Right? I'm not touching that. Right?
Leave that there.
leave that right there, Ward. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was your best investment. And then he said the third was his first home in Omaha.
Yes, that he still lives in, right?
That he still lives in. Well, Warren Buffett is 95 years old. And one thing, there's a guy. He has a book. It's called The 5 Types of Wealth. His name's Sahil Bloom. He talks about, he shared, he's like, would anybody trade place with Warren Buffett if you could? Because Warren Buffett is 95 years old, right? And we're not 95. Warren Buffett will probably trade places with you because he doesn't, knock on wood, right? But the thing is, like, time is something that some people may not like really think about. Like that's priceless. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you could, with time, you just mentioned that, right?
It's an asset.
It's a major asset, but we gotta be grateful for it first of all, And I think like just even being in here today, I'm like I think being grateful for what the time that we have can combat all kind of unhappiness and disappointment. Just man, sitting here chopping up with you guys, like that's a blessing. Go off and boom and get back on the day, but there's so much stuff that we have that we can take for granted. And you don't appreciate what you have, but you're going to get more. So more stuff you don't appreciate. So we're already rich.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You mentioned something that we have that we're grateful for. But there's some people who don't appreciate that. Right. So we're obviously talking about time, and I want to connect that to resources. Right. So we were talking about the trip that Cam and I just had from Atlanta.
Awesome.
And there was a lot of resources provided.
Stage next year.
Hey, I'm
lot
gonna
of
give you
resources.
But hey, speaking into existence, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But
Why not?
But there's a lot of resources that are given that are right at our fingertips. And I wanted to kind of highlight to anybody listening the value of the time and the resources, but the execution of the resources that are at your fingertips, right? So, for example, us going out to the conference in Atlanta, right? Like, we looked at it like this, going into it, it was already the mindset like, hey, this is an investment, right? That's one of our words for this year for our business, right? And it's like, it's not the lack of resources that are provided to individuals, especially when you're spending, thousands of dollars or going to conferences, but like you're given these different blueprints. And when we choose not to actually execute on those blueprints, like it goes back to that self thing, right? And so I think it's important for folks to realize, to identify what is it that's stopping you from executing the thing that it is that you want to execute, right? Especially as folks in leadership positions, folks who are entrepreneurs, because right now, and it's this wave where everyone wants to be an entrepreneur, right? And it's like you have these things, like, one of the things recently Cam has been really taking a deep dive in is the Chat GPT-5, right? And it's like, again, here's a $20 investment that could help take you and your business or your circle of folks to a whole nother level, right? Is that investment, well, one, do you look at it as an investment? And two, are you willing to invest something like that into the thing so that you can achieve your thing? So I just wanted to, because we were talking about time and the value of it, I wanted to also extend that conversation and talk about the value of resources, because we are doing a disservice to ourselves and the future generations because we're not executing on said resources. So.
It comes down to respect too. Like, a lot of people will ask somebody for advice or, hey, how did you do this or how did you do that? And they'll tell you, and you don't do anything with it. I'm very intentional about that. Is like when I ask someone to show me something or explain something to me, like I'm going to execute on it almost immediately. And people notice that. I've been told more than one occasion, like, oh, wow, like you took what I told you. And I say, yeah, because I respect the fact that you took the time to tell me something. And I said, because if I tell you something and you don't do it, one, I'm going to call you out. And two, I'm going to take note of, well, I don't need to tell you anything then. Right. Or you're going to pay me for it so I at least get something back. And some people are like, oh, well, you shouldn't do things to get something back. Like, once again, time is a valuable resource.
100%.
The world does not work. What do they say? The road to hell is paved with good gestures or something like that. Good intentions, right? And so it's like, there's a limit to everything. Time, patience, and commitment is currency. And I don't think enough people take that seriously.
You got to say that one more time. That's perfect.
Time, commitment. Time, patience, and commitment are currency.
Yeah. That's powerful. Yeah.
That's another T-shirt, man.
Yeah, that's real. That's real.
Off the dome.
Yeah.
But I enjoy
write that down.
having these. I enjoy having these dialogues because, again, going back to the value add, right? My personal goal coming into this conversation was like, gee, you will not leave that conversation any less sharper than going into it. You know what I'm saying? And and that's the same. And I want to make sure that I offer that same level of sharpness, right? And we're talking about iron sharpening iron, because that's extremely, extremely important to me. Like, again, I keep going back to like just being the leader of my home, and if I become dull, what does that do for my next generation, right? Yeah. And we're breaking so many generational curses in my current household. Like I was having a recent conversation with my oldest son, maybe a month or two ago, and we were talking about like how he has already broken some generational curses, right? First person in our family to get a scholarship, like, awesome. and to have a dual scholarship, right? To be going the direction that he's going in. And the reason why I was having that conversation, because I wanted him to not just take ownership of that, but understand the value of his last name and building and, just moving that forward, because now he has 3 younger siblings who was looking up to him.
100%.
And I said, this
they know what's possible.
100%, right? Let's break the chain. Let's break the cycle and create more opportunities for folks. And I share all this because I love having these conversations, because it makes me sharper so that I can sharpen the saws of my kids and my marriage, right? And so anyway, that's just something I wanted to just plug in there.
No, for sure. That's real. That's real. Like I think about, as you said, iron sharpens iron. We learn. There was a CEO that was like, because I asked you earlier, like, how'd you do that? You're like, experience. Yeah. So they asked him like, man, how did you learn to make such great decisions? He's like, easy, 2 words, good decisions. And they're like, yeah, but okay, but how do you learn to make good decisions? He's like, easy, 2 words, bad decisions. You know? But the real is though, it's like that we got to learn from the good and the bad, and but breaking those curses and moving forward and connecting with our loved ones and passing on, but being intentional about it is really the freedom. But I think if we all like really look to be our best selves, you know, have you guys ever read the book, The Four Agreements?
I just purchased it from Target.
Is that right?
I've heard like the kind of synopsis
concept
of it.
Yeah. But I mean, the whole
break it down.
Yeah, the whole thought process of the book is like doing the best that you can every day. And if you're doing the best that you can, your best is always improving. You know what? Like you mentioned ChatGPT. They had a whole segment at this conference I went to on ChatGPT and how it can help you. You know, but the key are people going to utilize it?
Correct.
You know, okay, now you got all the information. Like you got an encyclopedia. Like people don't even have to go to the library anymore. You know, but like it's right there. But are you going to apply it?
Or you got an assistant in that thing.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, 24/7. It don't take no days off.
Right.
No vacation pay. No sick days.
That's right.
You know, hey,
$20.
Hey, I call that a win. Okay. but it's a trip because it talks about doing your best. Don't be judgmental to other people. You know, because a lot of times we can project.
Correct.
And you said it earlier about thoughts, right? I think we got to get to the point where we're really guarding our thoughts, because your thoughts are more powerful than people actually imagine.
I agree.
Because that goes into the way you feel,
Right.
right? Which goes into your behavior, which goes into your actions, which goes into like who you are as a person,
Right.
and that's showing up on a repeated cycle. I was showing a house to somebody a long time ago, and this lady came off, and she was like being extra nice, but like a little bit extra, right? but showing, hey, I love you. You guys are welcome,
Right.
You know, and then how that was interpreted was, they don't like us, they don't want us here, and I was like, okay, now I just saw that. I didn't pick that up, not even in the slightest, you know. But
what are you looking for?
Exactly. But the way that we see things, you know, like there's a class in the company I'm with, Keller Williams, called Bold, and there's a Bold law. It says if you change the way you look at things, then the things you look at change, right? But like if you're looking at things, but then you change your perspective, like we talked about Zion, and if you see how Zion, like what his life was like, you got all that going on. Hey, I understand why you 50 pounds overweight, you know. But the real is though, if Zion really saw his opportunity and saw other athletes and how that was fleeting, and how other athletes are no longer have that opportunity, that may shift his entire perspective
For sure.
You know, because it's like a lot of times people think like, that opportunity, that money is going to be here forever. Yeah, I've made it. I'm Scrooge McDuck, and manna is falling from the heavens. You know. But the real is like, no, man. There's a last day for everything. Yeah, you know. And if you realize that, then you're gonna be more grateful for today.
And
there's a last day for everything.
There's a last day for everything, and then also, I heard something recently where it said, it's not about if you make it to the top; it's how long you stay there.
That part.
Yeah.
And it's really enjoying the climb, like plug to Miley Cyrus, you know, that song that she made, like about enjoying. God, I was like, I'm listening to Miley Cyrus right now, and I actually enjoy it. You know, the song was real. Like it's like you got to enjoy the climb. Like, you got to up the mountain. Like you gotta make that happen.
That's real, because you can get so locked in tunnel vision to not even make forward progress, but not even enjoy the process. And then when you make it to the top, to your top, you're like, this is not even what I wanted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So enjoying that climb is important. And I think that not only personally enjoying it, like building with people who you enjoy being around with daily to get to that top.
100%.
Right? And I think that's part of the secret sauce that people miss out. They're like, I'm going to lock in, I'm going to do this all by myself. Like, it's like, things are built in community.
They say if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, take somebody with you.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, like, the truth, you want to build that,
right?
Like, because true success is like, I don't want to be the only one there,
right?
Like, I want to encourage, like. I got some group chats. I'll share information. Like, I'll see stuff that blows me away. Man, this house just sold for this much money, or these people want this for this. Like, who wants to buy this? You know,
for sure.
But again, when opportunity meets preparation, we've got to be prepared to take otherwise that's gone, you know?
Speaking of perspective, like you said, group chat, and it made me think about how there are group chats that are formed that can be distractions. On the other side of that coin,
I'm sorry, Glenn. I do like group chat.
no, but then there's group chats where there's like ample amount of value that's in it, and so where if you are being very intentional and making sure that you're focused and committed to the thing that you said that you wanted to do, you will allow that to be part of your library of like you not having to search for something of value because it's already there. The reason why I mentioned that is because I made a comment to Cam the other day. He was just like, hey, so we have a group chat with a couple guys, and he was just like, hey, did you see that information? I was like, nah. I was like, you know, I've been so like busy with some of these other priorities, I haven't seen that yet. And so based off of perspective, that could, and fast forward, someone could view that as, man, I'm getting all these text messages is distracting, versus I'm getting all these text messages of men who I value their input, and I know I can go back and check that stuff out and come out sharper.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, the reason why I bring that up is because we have to get better with being open to shifting our perspective on things and not allowing our experiences to just shape who we are in that moment, but more of who are we actually trying to be, you know? So,
and I think with the circle, the knowledge comes the accountability. And I think, and you know, and a lot of people talk about like internal accountability, right? Like being, you know, but external accountability is just as important.
What's an example of external accountability that you're thinking about?
Calling bullshit on your friends. You know, so in that same example, I know exactly what he's talking about. I don't know if he heard me or not, but when he was like, oh, you know, I haven't looked at it yet, I was like,
I heard you.
I said, and?
Oh.
And so perspective, right? Because I know who I am, right? And I know the intention, right? We're talking about always pushing each other beyond measures.
Yeah.
I could have took that like, man, Cam's being an asshole. Or Cam's being, but I didn't, right? That's the accountability measure. Like that, my response was not just saying, oh, it's an excuse. Again, it goes back to how I'm looking at that particular conversation. Whereas like, okay, now when I go back and when I go and I lay down or I finally relax my mind, I can now catch up, right? Or I can stay caught up to make sure I remain on the same page, rather than looking like, oh, he's being, you know what I mean? Like, oh, don't talk to me like that. Like, no, when you stand true to who you are and you know who you are, you don't have to worry about that, because the beginning conversation was, we're going to the top together, and we're going to do what we need to do to hold each other accountable to make sure that we're sharp. So distractions are not going to be an excuse, and we won't allow that, right? And so those are conversations that I feel that men, leaders, communities are not having enough to stay sharp with each other.
And that's transparent, like communication, right?
For sure.
Like, because we had that conversation, I wasn't concerned about hurting his feelings because I knew he wouldn't take it that way.
That's good.
And vice versa. He knew I wasn't being an asshole. He knew that I was only holding us accountable as the group that we are to what we said we were going to do.
Because we said we have things to accomplish.
But I love that, because you guys are eye to eye in that communication. How would you have that conversation with somebody that wasn't like if that conversation hadn't been had?
So, and that's what I was telling you earlier is like, I have become a lot more transparent, whether, and the message will be curtailed basically off of like, you know, I'm not going to hit somebody with an and who I haven't had that conversation with, but I will add context. So, you know, for instance, the gentleman I was telling you about that we went to the conference with, and I was like, bro, if you're in the same place that you are next year, we're not friends. That could be, some people hear that and they're like, damn, like that's ruthless. Like, shouldn't you want to build your friend up? I want to build him up so bad that I will not waste any more time on him if he won't even give it to himself.
He's got to want it too, though.
He has to want it.
Yeah.
And if he wants it, I want it 10 times more than he does. And I'm willing to invest in that relationship and in education and all that, right? And once again, like, he knew where I was coming from with that, you know, and at first he tried to be like, oh, well, you know, I'm not in the same. And I said, you know exactly what I mean. And he was like, I do. And I said, there you go. You know, now fast forward someone else, I just keep it 100. Like I told you, I had the meeting with someone from Keller Williams yesterday, and I was very transparent, you know, but she asked, she's like, you know, we can introduce you to people and help out. what does your growth look like? And I said, I want to be $1 million in a year revenue. And she said, is that net or is that, and I was like, first of all, I love the fact that you asked that. But she said, net or gross? I said, I want to be net.
Yeah.
And she said, cool. And I said, that's to let you know the type of time I'm on.
Yeah.
I said, so if you are not executing on the things we talk about, I appreciate this meeting, but like, we don't need to work together then. And that's not to say you're not of value, but like, I have no time to waste. You know, in this particular, it was like, agreed.
And I think that, so good.
Yeah, no, and that's what it is, right? It's like, you know, I'm not going to like be like you ain't, and I think, and that comes from the training that and the communication skills that we have, right? Is like, but as I also said, is how many times do we hold our tongue on accountability because of feelings? One of our business partners always says, "Business at the table." That's what don't get your feelings hurt. Is business at the table. Now, that also doesn't give you a right to be like hella disrespectful, right? But you have to be able to sit there and listen to things being said to you and understand where they are coming from in context. Is this a personal attack or is this an accountability check? And if I'm triggered, it's more than likely an accountability check, and I don't want to look in the mirror and acknowledge that.
Yeah, that's real.
The one thing I was about to say, just to kind of add to that, was how important it is to have those conversations in the front end, right?
That's it.
Like if we're talking partnership, and this is even, I won't say I learned, I think I was reminded recently of why and how it is important to have those conversations and talk about expectations in the beginning, right? Because it's almost like dating, right? If I come and I say, hey, I'm looking for marriage, I'm looking for these things, you know that in the front end. So if as time moves on, and I'm still in alignment with those things that I've communicated to you, but the relationship is not going that direction, there's no love lost because I'm staying true to my values, right? And I think that we often get lost in not communicating what those values look like in business. And so, which is equally important, because when it comes time to have those conversations, the conversation, there's generally is one side that may be uncomfortable, rather than folks kind of, you know, do I have this conversation now, or when do I have the conversation? When's the right moment, et cetera. And, you know, I say all that to say, it makes it awkward. So when you have those conversations earlier in the relationship or the partnership, it becomes not so much easier, but it becomes, I'll say easier to have that conversation.
For sure.
Without overthinking when is the right time to have that conversation.
Like when we partner with people, like I always ask, like, what are your non-negotiables?
Yeah.
You know, like, hey, like, you know, if a certain percentage is a non-negotiable, cool. But I tell people all the time, most non-negotiables are not monetary to me. My biggest non-negotiables are that you are honest, that you are transparent with me. If you feel some type of way, you bring it to the table, and I never have to catch you saying some slick stuff behind my back that I'd rather you just say it to my face.
100%.
And we can have a conversation about it. And I said, as long as you do those 4 things, I can pretty much get behind anything, because that shows me the value that you bring as a person. We can make the money. I ain't worried about the money. I'm gonna make money. That's who I am. But finding people who have raised themselves to a standard to where I can really like stand side by side, like go to war with you, that's very rare.
Yeah. But I think like there's like a shift in like masculinity.
There is.
You know,
there's a huge shift.
And it kind of trips me out. But like when we met, you gave me that book. The first chapter of the book, it just talks about like being beyond reproach, like just no one can say anything to you because you're on your job.
Correct.
You know, and I feel like talking behind somebody's back, like those are things that are anti-production. You know, like how is that going to help?
For sure.
You know, lying and or like but those are things that like sometimes that I see and I categorize in 2 ways. Okay, maybe somebody doesn't know, right? They haven't been trained.
Yeah.
So are you unable or are you unwilling, right?
Yeah.
If you're unable, then I can potentially teach you. But if you're unwilling, I could do nothing with
Right.
you. Right? It's time to let go, right? But there's definitely things in everybody's life, because I feel like we're all like works in perfection. But it's about like seeing where somebody's hunger really lies. Like if they want to be better and they're willing to put the actions in, then okay.
Right.
You know, but like you can't want it more for somebody than they want it for themselves.
Right.
Yeah, I always tell people I'm not gonna beg you to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. Once somebody lets me know that I want it more than them, then now, okay, that's my cue.
Yeah.
You know, I'll be here.
No, that's cool. So is there anything that you have going on that you want to share, whether it's projects or that you want to promote, and then how can people like find and connect you?
I love that. So for me, I do have some stuff going on, but it wouldn't be for the masses at this moment. But if anybody is in a position that they want to sell, they need to buy, they want to invest, and they feel like they're running into roadblocks or they think it's not possible. Like one thing that I want to share is like it is possible.
Yeah.
But again, it comes back to strategy, and it comes down to being connected to the right people.
Yep.
I think that there's so much opportunity right now, but again, it just has to make sense. And I'm not the guy that's ever going to set anybody up to do anything other than put them in a position to win. You know, and I'd be honest to you and transparent from that first meeting. But if anybody wants to reach out, the Instagram is John. What is it, John _?
We'll make sure we tag you.
It'll be in the description.
I'm not on social media a whole lot, right? To be completely honest,
We're gonna help.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But I got like that's what area I'm trying to work on. Like,
Yeah.
Like I'm not on it.
No, for sure.
Though.
Yeah, you bring too much value for us not to extend our arm out to assist in that area.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
love,
So,
love.
But yeah, speaking of love, I have one question that I'm gonna ask you. There's 3 words: life, love, and leadership. Choose one of those words and just share whatever's on your heart.
I like that question. First of all, but I'm thinking about it because I want to give a
Absolutely.
real answer, right? So I like all 3, but I think I'm gonna choose love.
Okay.
Right? And the reason I'm going to choose love is because I feel like every day we wake up and we got the opportunity to be present. We got the opportunity to have breath in our lungs, and some people didn't, right? Yeah. So just being present and thoughtful about that and the way we move about life, you know what I'm saying? Enjoying that present moment. Because the past, if you focus on the past, then a lot of people are depressed. The future is really now. We can't control it. But if we're in that moment and we love in that moment and we're doing the things that we're supposed to do, then man, like it's the world is ours, you know. But I feel like just taking it back, like God walked in love, you know. And I feel like if we can do the same thing, then we're really blessing other people around us. You know what I'm saying? I feel like there's so much opportunity to really build other people up, you know, and we can really come together just by reaching out and touching people with our words, right. like a kind gesture, helping someone that can't even help you back. Right. You know, it's real, man. Yeah. I mean, it kind of sounds, as I'm listening to myself speak, it may not relate to some people because I may not connect with some people.
Okay.
And that's okay. You know what I mean? But the real is, though, it's like I'm just share a quick story. Yesterday, the gas station exit was closed. I ran out of gas, you know? And I was like, bro, like,
what's it like?
I was like, how old am I right now? Running out of gas.
18-year-old John.
Like, what's going on right now? And I was like, I called a Lyft. The Lyft guy came, and he was on the whole other side. And I was like, hey, man, I'm on the side of the freeway. And he was like, yeah, I'm not coming over there. And I was like, all right. He's like, I'll cancel the ride. He didn't cancel the ride. No, he waited for it to time out. I was like, man, that's cold. And then I called somebody else. She helps me out, go to the gas station, get a gallon of gas. The gallon wasn't enough. Like that didn't set off whatever meter. But she took off. I'm like, oh, thank you. And she was actually in the Air Force, you know, super cool.
Okay.
I called roadside. I didn't want to call roadside because they take longer. So I called the roadside assistance. Now we'll be there in
3 hours.
Yeah, basically. Hey, that's like SpongeBob. 5 hours later.
3 hours later.
You know what I'm saying? But then the lady knocks on my window and says, hey, do you need some gas? I was like, yeah, thank you so much. And she starts pumping the gas. And then I got in the car. I was like, wait, you roadside assistance? And she was like, no. And I was like, no, you just randomly stopped to see if I needed some gas.
And had gas?
And had gas?
Yeah.
Right? And she was like, yeah, do you need some gas? And I was like, bro, that blew me away, man.
I ain't never heard that.
I mean, in thinking about it, just to give context, I'm a tall black man. This is a middle-aged white woman coming up to me in 2025.
Right.
You know, I mean, and I think that to me was like a lot of people that speak against certain things. Man, you know, this is the conversation right here. This is the conversation. This is rapport.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what it boils down to. So for me, it's like I offered her money, she wouldn't take it. You know, but I was like, man, that's crazy. Like,
So let me ask you this. Based off of being 2025,
Yeah.
what you just said, how does that change your lens based off the things that we see?
So for me, I've looked at it through that lens though.
Yeah.
Like I know it may sound off, but like I didn't even know what race was until I was like 5 years old, you know?
Yeah.
But when I see it, I feel like we're all connected. Like honestly, my clients are every ethnicity.
Yeah.
You know, all different sexual orientations. You know, and the crazy thing is, those at the end of the day, I'm not here to judge anybody. You know, it's love, man. Like so, and I get invited to. If you saw, I got so many different kinds of. How do you know such as?
Yeah.
Hey, man, like, hey, I'm here for it. You know, but what's crazy is though, it's like, it's to me on a surface level, man, we're all human. We can always divide. Like, do you go to Target or you go to Walmart? You know,
That's a
you like Mercedes, you like BMW. You like Republican, Democrat. You know,
There's always looking for what's the difference?
The funniest thing I heard one day was like a guy, he was explaining politics like gangs. You know,
sure.
But the way he said it, I was like, bro, you're actually that's
Pretty
very
accurate.
very insightful. That's very insightful, man. I was like, when I cracked up, but it's real, you know. But it's a trip because like there's so many things that can separate, but there's a common denominator at the end of the day.
Correct.
And sometimes trauma brings people together, but I feel like it doesn't have to be that. Love could do the exact same thing.
I like that. I think you're spot on with that. We try and attach ourselves too much to like trauma connects us. It's like, nah, man. It doesn't have to be the bad thing that connects us. It should be the good thing.
Yeah, but that's easy because it's always on the news.
Right.
You know,
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is it's like I feel like there's you know, my mom. You know, she was telling me like this stuff that she was seeing on her social media. And I was like, I don't see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, you might need to reset, bro.
For
and
sure.
I said, because
the algorithm.
no, and I told her, I said, whatever you're looking at, it is legitimately feeding you things to continue to get you in that mindset. And I said, so you might just want to like reset. And you know, and she took a whole hiatus. And I can honestly say that like she was saying she was up at night. And I was like, you shouldn't be up at night because your IG feed, bro. Like that's not healthy. And once again, it's just like we have to be cognizant of the things that we are being fed, but then the things we are also like giving our attention to.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we are what we eat.
We are what we mine included.
Yeah, so it's not just the food, but like you said, whatever you consume, watch, read, listen to, like that is going to show up.
100%.
You know, so it's just like really just paying attention to that because if we want different, the beautiful thing is we can get different.
Yeah,
but we got to make a change.
we gotta make a change.
That part. Man in the mirror.
The man in the mirror. I'll say this to both of you, as well as to our audience, is as you're looking yourself in the mirror, ask yourself the question, what am I feeding myself? And I was listening to you guys both just kind of talk, and again, going back to the man in the mirror, I envisioned myself standing in front of the mirror and asking myself that question. Right, and how powerful it is to think about that, right? Like, what am I feeding myself from a mindset? And I say that to circle back to the very beginning of the conversation that I had told folks, hey, write these two things down: real estate and mindset. And I did that because I knew the value of what you would bring to the space, And going back to the overall goal of just providing value to folks, is questions like that we need to make sure we asking ourselves, right? You know, whether you're a man, woman, or whatever you identify as, when you're standing in front of the mirror, asking yourself those questions to think about the response that you'll get so that you can better understand yourself is super important, right? When we talk about real estate, is not just property, it's people. And tying that into the mindset piece of it, like, and my closing remarks of saying all of this is, you know, you talk about opportunity, right? We talk about commitment, dedication, mindset, real estate, all of this all wrapped into one, but ultimately is tied into what value are you providing, right? Like what walk are you walking in, right? What's your appetite? You know what I mean? And so I just, on behalf of, you know, Cam and I and our entire team, I just want to say thank you for your presence and thank you for being who you are as a man and a leader. And, you know, lastly, you know, just kind of plugging in, this particular episode is sponsored by L3 Media, located in Solano County. We are very proud of what you're doing and the impact that you're making, and look forward to seeing what you do for the youth.
Yes, sir.
And so I'll toss it over to Cam for closing remarks in addition to that.
So you're our first guest as we've kind of like updated the platform.
Yeah.
Love.
And I can say, like, I can already see how much of a better experience this was. You know, generally we ask for the bio. We obviously know our guests, but we just kind of like, oh, let's see where the conversation takes us, right? And it was funny because the initial reasoning for that was like, oh, we don't want it to be like overstructured and like seem, you know, fake, whatever, right? Like we talked about like natural. However, it's crazy how like against that goes with everything we did, like talked about, right? It's like, be strategic, like think about what you be intentional, right? And it was just a testament to like being intentional about the information being given, but you don't have to be overly structured in the way that it's presented.
100%.
And so
take action.
Right? And so it was not, you know, and it's just like, once again, it's like take action, but then also just like don't take it too seriously. Like, what's the point of it all?
One thing that I heard somebody say recently, and I think that was really powerful, was if your life was a movie, what would the audience be screaming at you to start or stop doing? You know,
I like that.
And so, and just
write that.
And just and thinking about that, like for anybody listening, like if there's something that you should start or stop doing, find those resources. You know, tap into those people, because there's people all around. You know, but I think that, but to give you guys roses right back, man, I applaud you going and get some new information, reaching out and learning, and bringing it back and actually putting it into place. And more importantly, man, I just stand by, because not the shiny object in Solano County. Hey, that's growing, man. Right. That's gonna grow. That's gonna grow. Hey, with that intention, with that commitment, just stand by. You know, because I feel like, hey, the sky's the limit.
Oh,
you know, no diddy.
I received that.
Yeah. But other than that, man, you know, like, share, subscribe. Tell us what you like. We ain't getting rid of that. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. We just gave it to you on the back end this time. But no, man, this was great. I was looking forward to this just off of the initial meeting we had, and then what Glenn told me about you. So this was great.
Right on. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate your time. Same.
Yeah.
I feel like